Doctor of Digital.
And welcome to Love Letters. Love Letters, a collection of love stories of people get lost, get crazy, and disoriented in the name of love. And today, another great episode because new week, new great episode. Are modern bathhouses the new place to find love? Wow, amazing, Mr. Mac.
Or maybe think so.
So, how can you introduce this topic for today?
Well, I've heard of love in an elevator, thanks to the rock band Aerosmith, but maybe bathhouses are a place to be. That at least is a contention of Yoonji Han. And she writes on Pop Sugar that modern bathhouses are the new place to find love. Bathhouses have been around for some time and are most popular in Finland, so perhaps a bit of background is in order. Haley Folk, also on Pop Sugar, describes the practice. In case you're unfamiliar, the practice of saunaing involves sitting in a heated wooden room. Saunas can be dry, meaning they can use hot stones or an electric heater to raise the room temp, or wet, meaning they use some sort of steam generator to create humidity as well as heat. This was not only always the case historically, because bathhouses actually have a long and storied history as spaces where love, both romantic and platonic, could flourish, dating back to ancient civilizations. In Rome, the thermae were grand public bathhouses that served as social hubs for citizens of all classes. While their primary purpose was hygiene, these sprawling complexes with their heated pools, steam rooms, and lush gardens also fostered intimate connections. Men and women often bathed separately, but the bathhouses were known as places where flirtations, secret rendezvous, and even political alliances were forged. Poets like Ovid referenced the baths as settings for amorous encounters, suggesting that the relaxed atmosphere and communal nudity blurred social boundaries, making them ripe for expressions of affection. In medieval cultures, the hammam emerged as another iteration of the bathhouse where love found a foothold. These bathhouses were not only cleansing places, but also centers of community life, particularly for women. Away from the public eye, the hammam offered a rare sanctuary where women could gather away from the prying eyes of men, share stories, and build bonds, sometimes romantic ones. Historical accounts and literature from the period hint at the hammam as a place where same-sex relationships, especially among women, could discreetly develop, shielded by the privacy of the steam-filled rooms. For men, too, the hammam was a space of camaraderie and at times subtle courtship, with poetry and music often enhancing the sensual ambiance. By the 20th century, bathhouses took on new significance as explicit havens for love, particularly within gay communities. In cities like New York and San Francisco, gay bathhouses such as the Continental Baths or the infamous St. Mark's Baths became synonymous with sexual excess during the mid 20th century. These spaces offered a refuge from societal repression where men could meet, connect, and explore relationships, ranging from fleeting encounters to deeper emotional ties. While the AIDS crisis in the 1980s cast a shadow over these venues, forcing many to close, their legacy endures as symbols of desire. In conclusion, across cultures and eras, bathhouses have transcended their utilitarian roots, evolving into unique crucibles for human connection and love in many forms.
So, Mr. Mac, who found love in a bathhouse?
Well, for one, Claudette Souza never expected to fall in love at a sauna. Souza met a man named Z at a mutual friend's birthday party. They quickly hit it off, although Souza felt hesitant about Z's obvious interest since she was taking a break from dating after ending a 10-year relationship. But Z was sweet and attentive, and he gave her butterflies, which was something she hadn't felt in a long time. Souza met the man, but Z suggested a first date to the Other Ship, a trendy Toronto spa featuring saunas, social commons, ice baths with guided breathwork and meditation classes. It was a pleasant experience, and as soon as Souza walked into the spa, however, her fears dissipated. I felt like I had entered an airplane or a ship and that I was going on a journey. I'd never been to a co-ed bathhouse before. It brought a cool dynamic because I was there with somebody I liked, so it was even more exhilarating. The pair started their guided meditation session in the dimly lit sauna. sitting close together in a way that felt nerve wracking but exciting to Sousa. When it was time for the ice bath, Sousa couldn't help herself. She slid her foot closer to his, just touching his pinky toe. He looked at me and we looked at each other. We just got really giddy and went into the cold plunge, Sousa says. It was an intense experience, like I had gotten baptized. After the cold plunge, Z held a shivering Sousa and walked her back to the sauna. To Sousa, it was an unexpectedly perfect first date, one that allowed them to connect deeply in a way she hadn't before, so much so that when she and Z returned to Othership on successive dates. In conclusion, some are finding love in bathhouses, although this might not be the first place where that people look to find a partner.
Definitely, totally agree, Mr. Mick. You can find love in everywhere, especially bathhouses. So, what are the roots finding love urban bathhouses?
Sousa isn't the only one who's found romantic connection in spas. Urban bathhouses have exploded in popularity in recent years, driven by surging consumer demand in wellness and self care and social connection. An article on Pop Sugar details there's taking a bath and then there's bathing, the latter of which can be an artistic ritual. With roots in ancient Rome, the practice has become known as hammam, a term for the physical establishment of a bathing house and the act of cleansing the body using water or steam. A hammam is a traditional bathhouse commonly found in Middle Eastern and North African cultures, particularly in countries with historical ties to the Ottoman Empire, such as Turkey, Morocco, and Egypt. The term hammam comes from the Arabic word for bath and refers to both the physical space and the ritual of communal bathing and cleansing that takes place there. These places are designed for relaxation, socializing, and personal hygiene, often featuring a series of heated rooms with varying temperatures. The experience typically involves a sequence of steps: warming up in a hot room to induce sweating, cleansing the body with water and soap, often with the help of an attendant, and then cooling down in a relaxation area. Steam, marble slabs or benches, and intricate tile work are common features, creating a serene and luxurious atmosphere. Historically, hammams served as important social hubs where people gathered not just to bathe, but to connect, discuss community matters, and celebrate events like weddings. They draw from Middle Eastern traditions of ritual purification and earlier Roman and Byzantine bathhouse influences. To many, today, many hammams still operate as a cultural landmark, while modern versions have been adapted into spa like experiences worldwide. The Mediterranean is a natural area for the practice to bubble up since the Greeks first discovered that hot water can be relaxing. Then the Romans followed up with the public bathhouses. They built huge bathing spaces with three chambers that provided hot, warm, and cold water. Roman bathhouses, or thermae, served a threefold purpose in ancient society: hygiene, social interaction, and relaxation. Primarily, they were places for bathing, equipped with a sophisticated system of heated rooms, the caldarium hot, tepidarium warm, and frigidarium cold, designed to cleanse the body through a sequence of temperature changes. Beyond cleanliness, bathhouses were vital social hubs where Romans of all classes mingled, discussed politics, conducted business, or simply enjoyed each other's company, though the grandest complexes like the baths of Caracalla catered more to the elite. Finally, they offered a space for relaxation and leisure, often adorned with mosaic, statues, and libraries where visitors could unwind, exercise in the adjacent areas, and indulge in the pleasures of a steamy escape from daily life. This multifaceted role made bathhouses a cornerstone of Roman urban culture, blending utility with enjoyment. Love and courtship also found their way into the steamy corridors of Roman bathhouses, often sparking tales of romance and intrigue. One story from the poet Martial hints at flirtations in the baths, where he mocks a man named Gala for rejecting suitors yet flaunting charms in the mixed bathing areas, suggesting that the baths were staged for romantic games, even if played somewhat coy. Another anecdote from the historian Suetonius recounts how Emperor Hadrian, while visiting a public bath, noticed an old soldier rubbing his back against the wall for lack of a slave to assist him. Moved by pity and perhaps a subtle courtship of loyalty, Hadrian gifted him servants, turning a mundane bathhouse encounter into a display of imperial affection. Though not always segregated by gender, bathhouses provided a rare public space where glances, whispered words, or bold gestures could ignite passion or rivalry, making them as a theater of love as much as a theater of cleanliness. In conclusion, with their co ed soaking pools, guided rituals, and lounges meant for lingering conversation, modern bathhouses have emerged out of Greco Roman culture with the same caveats as in the ancient world.
Certainly. Thank you for the Roman or Greek. So, how did the early Christians reflect on the ancient practice of bathhouses, Mr. Mick?
The ancient world was rich with cultural practices that shaped daily life and social interactions. Among these, bathhouses held a significant place, especially in Greek and Roman societies. These communal spaces were not only places for bathing, they were centers for socializing, relaxation, and even business. However, as Christianity began to spread, early Christians viewed these bathhouses through a different lens, reflecting their beliefs and values. They explores the bathhouse practice from an early Christian perspective. One should see that they observed the Greek and Roman customs, the implication of these practices, and how they influenced early Christian thought. Bathhouses were integral to Greek and Roman culture, serving as centers of all kinds of activities. In the ancient societies, public baths were commonplace, often lavishly decorated and equipped with several areas of baths, steam rooms, and exercise areas. They were places where individuals gathered to cleanse themselves, but also served as social hubs where people could discuss politics, philosophy, and daily life. In Greece, bathing was highly regarded as a vital part of daily life. The Greeks believed that cleanliness was essential for both physical and spiritual well being. Bathhouses often featured intricate mosaics and sculptured, creating an environment that was both beautiful and functional. The Greeks also associated baths with athleticism. Many gymnasiums included bathing facilities for athletes to use after training. The Romans took the concept of bathing to new heights. They built grand public baths known as thermae, which were massive complexes that included not only baths, but also libraries, gardens, and areas for social gatherings. This made bathing a communal experience and was an essential part of Roman life. As Christianity began to spread throughout the Roman Empire, early Christians found themselves in a world that practiced bathing as a normal part of life. Their observations of Greek and Roman bathhouses were often tinged with concern and disapproval. The early Christians viewed these practices through the lens of their emerging values, which emphasized purity, modesty, and a focus on the spiritual rather than the physical. One of the main concerns for early Christians was the moral implications of bathhouses. Many bathhouses were associated with hedonistic behavior, including promiscuity and indulgence in excess. The communal nature of these spaces often led to situations where moral boundaries were blurred, and early Christians worried that such environments could lead believers away from their spiritual commitments. Early Christian thought emphasized the idea that the body was the temple of the Holy Spirit. This perspective created a tension with the bathing culture of the Greeks and Romans, which celebrated the beauty and physicality of the body. Early Christians sought to elevate the spiritual over the physical, believing that excess focus on bodily pleasures could distract from one's relationship with God. As Christianity gained influence, changes in bathing practices began to emerge. The early Christians sought to establish a new understanding of cleanliness that aligned more closely with their beliefs. Instead of the communal bathhouses of the Greeks and Romans, early Christians began to adopt more private bathing practices. This emphasis shifted towards personal hygiene within the home, reflecting a move towards modesty and privacy. Baptism became a central rite of early Christianity, symbolizing purification and the believer's commitment to a new life in Christ. The act of baptism, involving water, took on new meaning as it represented not just physical cleansing, but also spiritual renewal. In addition to practical changes, early Christians engaged in theological reflections on the nature of cleanliness. This emphasis on purity in both body and spirit became a recurring theme in Christian writings. The notion that the body is a temple of the Holy Spirit led to a reevaluation of how Christians interacted with their bodies. The early church taught that for one's body was part of honoring God, and this idea contrasted sharply with the indulgent practices observed in the bathhouses of the time, making a distinct departure from previous cultural norms. In conclusion, this movement was partly a reaction to the excesses seen in Roman bathhouses and other aspects of society that prioritized physical pleasure over spiritual fulfillment.
Certainly. Totally agree with you, Mr. Mick. So, how are the modern bathhouses starting as places to meet and prioritizing the physical body?
The owners of Othership, Emily Bent and her partner Robbie, set up an ice bath in their backyard. The couple had their first date at a Russian banya, located in the back alley of a dingy strip mall, and wanted to recreate that experience at home. The couple feels as though it brings them together to build authentic connection. Robbie, a former alcoholic, aimed to build an alcohol-free social community. Once they informally invited friends to their makeshift spa, word spread quickly, and Emily advises, I'd wake up in the morning, go down to the kitchen to make coffee, and there would already be a dozen people in the backyard. The sauna proved to be popular and grew to other locations as well. Bathhouse, another sleek social spa with thermal pools, saunas, and cold plunges, also opened in the trendy Brooklyn neighborhood before expanding to Manhattan as well. There have been successful love connections at the modern spas also. The first time Kristen Chung went to Bathhouse in New York City, she was drawn to its relaxed nature, describing it as a third space where people could linger and mingle. She also noticed that spa folks goers were fit and attractive. A third space refers to a social environment that is distinct from the two primary places where people typically spend most of their time: home, first space; work, second space. It's a term often used in sociology and urban studies to describe informal public or semi public places where individuals can gather, relax, socialize, or engage in community activities outside of their domestic or professional lives. Examples of third spaces include coffee shops, libraries, parks, community centers, bars, and even online platforms like social media forums where people connect. These spaces are valued for fostering social interaction, creativity, and a sense of belonging, often without the pressures or obligations tied to home or work responsibilities. The concept was popularized by sociologist Ray Oldenburg in his book, The Great Good Place, 1989, where he argued that third spaces are essential for a healthy society, providing a neutral ground for people to unwind and build relationships. Chung had recently started using dating apps to limited success. She says being on the apps is kind of like the prisoner's dilemma of game theory, echoing the popular notion that users are incentivized to swipe right on a large number of potential partners, even if they aren't genuinely interested. This ultimately results in incompatible matches, a suboptimal outcome for everyone involved. Bathhouse, on the other hand, offered an organic way to meet others. These places are qualifying and personal areas for social interaction and are ideal for, at least for some, as a third space. Kristen reports that bathhouses bring the realness, the real humanity back into dating as opposed to the weird algorithm matchmaking in dating apps. She also appreciated that mingling at saunas struck a fine balance between overly intentional, since most people weren't there primarily to find dates, and lacking thoughtfulness entirely, like getting hit on at a rowdy bar. Modern spas are actually encouraging dating at their saunas. Othership launched its first singles night where date seekers are given prompts that encourage meaningful interaction, like what's a small thing that brought you joy recently, or what's a memory that makes you smile. And Othership is a phone free zone. There are connection cards for people who write their phone numbers on so that they can. And 120 spots at each of the spas, three singles nights have sold out far in advance. So modern bathhouses are a means for people to connect in a healthy way. The intimacy and vulnerability created and fostered at bathhouses might not guarantee romance, but for some, bathhouses are an ideal setting for connection. Souza is one of them. In 2022, she and Z celebrated their wedding, dancing to Essie Jane's Oh, I Love You. It was the same song that played at Othership when they shared their first kiss, surrounded by steam and the quiet closeness of strangers. In conclusion, the comfort, intimacy, and vulnerability fostered at bathhouses might not guarantee romance, but for some, it has resulted in love being found.
Yes, so let's give a big, big hand for this new romance coming. So, Mr. Mick, what do we know about finding love in a modern bathhouses?
In today's fast paced world, the quest for love often feels like a daunting challenge. With online dating apps and social media dominating our search for connections, many have forgotten the charm of traditional social settings. Enter the modern bathhouse, a space that blends relaxation, self care, and social interaction. You can explore how bathhouses can serve as unique environments for finding love and building relationships, examining their cultural significance, social dynamics, and personal experiences. In the modern era, bathhouses have evolved significantly. While they still offer relaxation and rejuvenation, many contemporary bathhouses also focus on wellness and self care. One of the primary reasons bathhouses are ideal for finding love is their calming atmosphere. Bathhouses offer unique experiences that can enhance connection. In a bathhouse, the focus is often on relaxation and comfort, which can help to reduce social anxiety. Bathhouses are often attracting a diverse group of people, creating a sense of community. Many modern bathhouses host events such as theme nights, wellness workshops, or social mixers, and the staff at bathhouses play a crucial role in creating a welcoming environment. Many individuals have shared stories of unexpected connections made in bathhouses. And for some, visiting a bathhouse is not just about finding love, but also about personal growth and self discovery. Bathhouses can also serve as a foundation for lasting relationships. When visiting a bathhouse, it's essential to adopt an open and friendly demeanor. You take advantage of group classes or events offered at the bathhouse. Engaging in these activities not only enhances your experience, but also increases your chance of meeting someone with similar interests. While bathhouses are social spaces, it's important to respect personal boundaries. Not everyone may be open to conversation or connection, so be mindful of body language and cues. Approach others with kindness and sensitivity. Don't be afraid to share your thoughts or experiences with others. In conclusion, whether it's discussing a favorite service or asking for recommendations, starting a conversation about shared experiences can lead to deeper connections.
Certainly. So, Mr. Mick, how can we conclude this episode on bathhouses?
Finding love in modern bathhouses, an experience that combines relaxation, community, and genuine connection. These unique environments foster an atmosphere that encourages open communication and shared experiences, making them ideal for meeting new people. By embracing the charm of bathhouses and participating in their social dynamics, individuals can enhance their chances of finding love in a refreshing and enjoyable way. As we navigate the complexities of modern dating, perhaps it's time to consider the simple yet profound connections that can be made in the soothing embrace of a bathhouse. The early Christian perspective on bathhouses reflects a complex interaction between cultural practices and emerging religious values. While the Greeks and Romans celebrated bathing as a communal and social activity, early Christians saw it through a lens of morality and spirituality. Their observations led to significant changes in how cleanliness was understood in practice, paving the way for a development of new rituals and beliefs centered around the body and spirit. As Christianity continued to grow and spread, the legacy of these early observations and adaptations remained influential. The transformation of bathing practices from public bathhouses to private rituals like baptism illustrates the profound impact of faith and water on life. In conclusion, the early Christians redefined the relationship between body and spirit, creating a new understanding of purity that resonated through the centuries and continues to influence Christian thought today and hopefully has an impact on secular dating culture as well.
Certainly, Mr. Mick. Bathhouses of love evoke a sense of intimacy, tradition, and cultural significance that transcend mere architecture. Found in various forms across the world, from the Japanese onsen and the Turkish hammam to Roman and Korean bathhouses. So, Mr. Mick, would you like to plug in something?
Sure, if you don't mind. I'm the Idea to Author Coach on Facebook, so meet me there if you want to sell books and if you want to write books, I'm there to help out. Of course, you can also listen to the Doctor of Digital podcast And also, I'll pick up a couple volumes of my own, Burning America and On Track Ian Hunter, available on Amazon. Until next time, stay soul.
Yes, indeed. I want to promote also our newest podcast with Mr. Mental Health 101 in its first season. People, Mental Health 101 is created to empower your mental health awareness. So please do listen Mental Health 101 wherever you listen to your podcasts. So Mr. Mick, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel, my friend.
More to come, people. See you soon.